where is the research on outcomes? It's wrong. We are making the assumption that forced adoption is a good solution for children without research on outcomes. It's no good just selecting those children that remain adopted. You've got to take into account the process and the effect on the children that end up unadopted at a later stage. And those poor children are adopted, then unadopted, and then adopted again. It's not right. It's very wrong. But no research is done. More research is needed. Here we have Scotland. It's a social science control experiment. Because we have another country, another nation within the United Kingdom, same-ish language, similar-ish culture. It's a control experiment. From a scientific point of view, you impose a completely different environment, and Scotland does a little bit better. Obviously, you can roughly multiply the figures by 10 between Scotland and England. Not precisely, but it gives you a reasonable assessment, obviously, that if you're comparing age cohorts, it'd be a different figure. But there's a first-order estimation, roughly multiply by 10. And you can say children, again, those figures are actually from the Scottish Government's website, and you're looking there at the same sort of issue. What happens to kids who are taken into care at young ages, right? And we go, again, I've got 15 minutes, I can do 3 hours, so I'll rush a little bit. In Scotland, 65% of young kids taken into care return to their parents, and in England, the majority get adopted. All right, now if I can have a little bit of water at that point. That doesn't mean they stay adopted. It means the system puts them through to being adopted. Now let's look at adoption target BV, best value as it's called, 163, and hypothecated funding for adoption. Now the good news is that this was scrapped from the 1st of April 2008, but they didn't tell Ofsted, right? And performance assessment framework indicator C23, which had the same definition, was still in place. Now, Birmingham, when it lost its star after the death of ABP, what happened was this. Ofsted reassessed Birmingham, but didn't get any more information from Birmingham, and decided that Birmingham, whereas it was previously adequate, was suddenly inadequate, although nothing had changed. And Ofsted have given a statement as to why Birmingham lost its adequate status and became inadequate. And you've got little bits there. I'm going to go on to the next page because I think it is important to understand how government is managing local authorities from the KPI point of view, and how local authorities are being driven into doing the wrong things. I'm going to run out of time probably. But let's say, okay, coming further down, adoption targets again. So if we go into the sentence previously, and the below average percentage of looked after children who are allocated, low level of adoptions, right? So up below Martin Mary. So one of the reasons why Birmingham lost its star was it was deemed inadequate in children with specialised services because of, in part, the low level of adoptions. Now, the problem with these is that there are complex judgmental issues throughout the system which practitioners are doing on a daily basis, balancing out various different things. Key performance indicators drive people into making the wrong decisions. No, I'm not going to be able to do all of this. It's worth going through all of this. The other thing that's worth looking at is the issue of the number of children in care. I rummaged through Haringey's website following the death, well, no, not following the death of ABP, following the publicity, following the criminal prosecution as a result of the death of ABP, because although I was concerned about it in August 2007, obviously everything happened after the publicity and the sacking of the head of children's services. Now, Haringey were operating a target number for children in care. Some authorities operate a one-in, one-out basis. Right, now, one in, one out. Where's the threshold in that? The threshold is a management threshold. It's basically, we have a target number of children in care. Now, for entirely laudable reasons, Ofsted are criticising Birmingham for having a high number of looked after children and children with child protection plans. But because the theory of it is if you provide the right support, you wouldn't have so many children like that. The simple solution to hitting Ofsted's targets is not to put children into care or not to provide them with a child protection plan. And the problem is, although there is a laudable objective, the mechanism for controlling the system causes the wrong decisions. And in Baby P's case, Lynn Featherstone, one of our colleagues, knows there is